Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Live Dive. I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend, that you had fun, but also that you took some time to remember what that day was about. And it's to memorialize the men and women who've made the ultimate sacrifice for us here in America to have the freedoms that we have on a daily basis. And so just think about that. Be thankful for the freedoms that we have been afforded on a day in and day out basis in what is still, I think, the greatest country in the world. So before we dive into our scripture tonight, what I want to do quickly is just, I don't have any big announcements right now, but we do have some great stuff, great events for you that are in the works right now. Now that summer is in full swing, we all have a little bit of more time on our hands, and so that means we got some stuff for you, some fun stuff, and also maybe even some outreach that we can do as well. Our outreach event from a couple of weeks ago was such an awesome, good time and a success, and so I'd like to do it again before you guys go off to whatever college or school that you attend. So let's dive into what we want to talk about today. We know that today, believe it or not, is the last day of May, which means we're really heading into the thick of summer, tomorrow being the first day of June, and that means we have a new theme and so of the month. So the theme of the month for the month of June would be the believer's mission, all about what we are expected to do as believers. And today we're going to be talking about having eternity in mind. Having eternity in mind. When I was going through this, I was thinking about how history is just filled with people who achieved great successes, but those great successes often followed setbacks or failures. In other words, what happened is that some of these people that achieved greatness, they failed or had setbacks before they got to that point of reaching that plateau of success. And probably one of the most famous stories of somebody having success after having failure after failure after failure was Thomas Edison, the man known for inventing the light bulb. And it was reported, or at least a legend says, that he tried 10,000 different ways or techniques before finding the way that actually works to make a light bulb. And so when he was asked about all the times that he failed before finding the right way to make a light bulb, this is what he said. He said, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Now, I really like that determination on the part of Thomas Edison. I thought that was really inspirational. And I was thinking, when we look in the New Testament, we see that the Apostle Paul also had that same type of perseverance. During his ministry, which was a successful ministry, he experienced all sorts of hardships, disappointments, and setbacks. In fact, we see that the book of 2 Corinthians, which is what we'll be looking at today, and I think for this coming weekend for our Sunday school class, the reason why he wrote it was in response to some people in the Corinthian church challenging his authority, challenging his teachings, even though he has already well established, the Christian walk and the way to follow Christ. But we see that in chapter 4 of 2 Corinthians that even though Paul is now experiencing this disappointment of being challenged, he's not giving up his ministry. And this is what he said in verse 16 of 2 Corinthians 4. He said, "For which cause," talking about the cause for Christ, he's saying, "The cause for Christ we faint not. But though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day." What Paul is saying is that, you know what? I'm not giving up. I'm not going to grow weary in the cause for Christ. Instead, I'm going to keep going. And he talks about how he's being renewed day by day in the inner man. What he's saying is that the outer man, his flesh might grow tired or discouraged by what's happening. But he said the inner man, taken up by Christ, it's filled with Christ, he's being renewed day by day through the Holy Spirit. Now, we may ask, okay, well, why is Paul, how is he able to keep persevering like he was? Or how was Thomas Edison able to keep persevering as he was trying to invent the light bulb? How can we have that same perseverance in our Christian walk today? I think a big key in having that perseverance is having the proper perspective. In fact, the key in a lot of successes in life and in our Christian walk is having that proper perspective. And Paul had that proper perspective. In fact, you see it in the very next verse, in verse 17 of 2 Corinthians chapter 4. This is what he said. He said, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." What he's saying is that, yeah, right now maybe I'm experiencing some suffering or some hardships, but you know what? It's nothing compared to what I'm going to get in eternity. And so that's the perspective he had. He had an eternal perspective. He realized that, hey, you know what? I may be experiencing some setbacks right now, but ultimately, I'm going to keep my eyes on the prize, which is eternity. And that's what we have to remember today as Christians is that, yeah, when we're trying to do things for Christ, we may experience hardships or disappointments, but ultimately, we are going to receive an amazing prize, an amazing reward when we get to heaven. In other words, we need to have, or we need to keep, eternity in mind. We always need to have that in mind because that is going to be a huge key in persevering in our Christian walk, because we will experience disappointments. We will experience hardships, but it doesn't seem quite so bad with an eternal perspective. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. Be sure to come on out to Sunday school this coming Sunday at 10 a.m. upstairs in the gym mezzanine. We'll probably be changing locations soon, but at least this Sunday, be sure to come on out to the gym mezzanine at the First Free Will Baptist Church of Tampa at 10 o'clock as we continue this discussion of keeping eternity in mind. And remember, free donuts. We always have free donuts every week, so don't miss out on that. But until then, have a great weekend and see you on Sunday.